This is Ashley Jones coming at you with my first official live stream on YouTube. I really don't understand why I wasn't allowed to do this before. Maybe it's because I didn't have enough subscribers that I couldn't do it before. But now that I can live stream, that's actually very exciting. Before I had to go on to my video camera and then upload all of my videos. So this first live stream is to tell you that last night I just got back from Disneyland, and I stayed at the Best Western right across the street from Disneyland overnight with my new friend Mary, who has not only high-functioning autism, but cystic fibrosis. And we are advocating for those with special needs and for cystic fibrosis and other life-threatening illnesses to say that you don't have to limit yourself anymore on what you can do. When you go to a theme park with a life-altering illness, of course there are going to be some things that may be a little harder for you to do, but you don't have to put off traveling and having fun altogether. So what Mary and I did was that she has a power scooter that she uses in case she gets really winded and tired. And she also uses inhalers and does breathing treatments. The life expectancy for cystic fibrosis is on the rise. Mary is 40 years old. That is very, very high for the expectancy that cystic fibrosis used to have. So now we are seeing some people make it to 40 or 45. And I'm really excited for that because now hopefully in the next 5 to 10 years, maybe with the medical advances and everything, people with cystic fibrosis could go 50 to 60 years old. That would be super cool. During this live stream, if you can't tell, I am a little bit nervous at first because anything could go wrong, including an unexpected noise. So bear with me if our dogs start barking or a door opens. I have no idea what will happen. But this next announcement is quite exciting for me. On July 4th, my official Disneyland meetup group, which is free to join, but you must have valid theme park admission to either Disneyland and or California Adventure with either a magic key or a ticket. And you must also bring money for food and other decision making with money, such as going shopping or emergency money in case something happens. Also, I do not require that, maybe once in a while I could help somebody if they were in really big need with a water purchase or something, or sometimes I pay it forward to somebody with a meal, but I cannot do that all the time. So there are no guarantees on that. The other thing I will announce is on July 4th, We will meet in front of the Disneyland Railroad Station on Main Street. On the bottom level, Main Street USA, when you first walk in, you will walk in and see the entrance to the Disneyland Railroad. The Disneyland Railroad was its original from 1955 with some changes. Some stations were added, and many times over the years, even aesthetic changes have been done to keep it looking really nice. The Disneyland Railroad isn't too far from the shops, and Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln. In fact, Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln and the Disney Anna shop are the closest areas in proximity to the Disneyland Railroad. The other thing that I advise is if anybody is going to be joining that has wheelchair, wheelchair needs and other issues, Disneyland Railroad is the only station of the Disneyland Railroad that does not actually have a ramp to get up and down. Only stairs, which could be a big difficulty. So once we meet in front of the Disneyland Railroad Station on Main Street, if we need to either walk to another station that the rest of them have ramps and everything, or figure out, how to accommodate those with wheelchairs and everything, we will do that. Once you get up to the Disneyland Railroad at all stations, wheelchairs can get like a little lift of a ramp that they put down on the train. They will put the wheelchair up on the little ramp and take the wheelchair up. But it will be difficult to get down if you're in a wheelchair on Main Street. Because the Disneyland Railroad is original from 1955, maybe wheelchairs were just not a huge thought going into the building process. And now more special needs people than ever before are going to theme parks. So now they're going to need to, I hope they rethink the Disneyland Railroad in the future on Main Street and eventually maybe take one side of the stairs and build a ramp and leave the other part for the stairs. I don't know though. It costs a lot of money to redo concrete work, architecture, and also steel work for like the stairs and everything for the railings. Another thing that a lot of people don't think about is that Walt Disney was kind of in a rush when he went to complete everything for Disneyland. He just did not have the time to really get everything put together. On opening day, some things went a little bit wrong, but he got through it. And Walt Disney really did well opening Disneyland, except for some problems. But everybody once in a while has some problems that you just don't expect. But now Disneyland has been really doing much better with handling guests with special needs and with certain medical problems. For me, I think the biggest challenge is not only do I have high functioning autism, I am really short, so some of the rides are a little bit hard for me to get up and down without almost feeling like I'm going to trip or fall. The biggest one for me is the carousel. The carousel for the horses and everything stop up really high now most of the time. And I have to try to really visualize where I'm going to step down and put my feet. I know one wrong move and I could be on the, carousel deck down below and really get hurt. You don't want to do that. The other thing that's not really helpful is if you have special needs and everything, and a ride vehicle is really low, such as It's a Small World, Pirates of the Caribbean, and Radiator Springs Racers in Cars Land, those rides are notorious for having a very low seat. So if you are not careful and don't watch where you're going to sit or climb, you could possibly fall. Disneyland does a good job at assuring guests just to watch their step and be careful. And some of the cast members will now help the person in if they're having any difficulties. But you still have to take care of yourself and make sure that you're not doing something that can give you a one-way trip to the ER. And the reason, too, to be careful is that some of the rides go into very dark areas going in, such as Haunted Mansion, Pirates of the Caribbean. Radiator Springs Racers is a little dark, but it does have a lot of lighting. Another one that is kind of dark in some ways is Snow White's Enchanted Wish. It has a little bit of a darker unload and loading area, but you can see pretty well. Mr. Toad's Wild Ride is a little more lit up pretty well. I've always thought another one that's kind of dark, and this is just me, I guess, Pinocchio kind of has a dark queue as well. But the ones that have the queues outside that are usually really bright, except for at night, I have no trouble with, like Alice in Wonderland, The Mini Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, Radiator Springs Racers only on occasion. And the other one that you need to be really careful on is the Storybook Canal boats, not too far from the Casey Jr. attraction. Because at night, the Storybook Canal boats can be a little bit dark. And also, the Storybook Canal boats have a rule so the boat doesn't tip over at the end getting out, that the cast member will count to 3, and everybody is expected or almost expected to stand up at the same time, just because they don't want the boat tipping over with all the weight. It depends on how many people are in the boat at one time, the size, unfortunately, of certain guests that could be on the attraction, and behavioral issues that might come up. Some guests are not very courteous to others, including small kids that might get either scared that the boat's going to tip over, or they just don't want to get off of the ride. That's sometimes the way kids are, unfortunately. They don't want to get off the ride because they really want to ride it again. And unfortunately, on a lot of rides, they can't do that. You have to get off of the ride and get in a line again if you want to go on it another time. There is a ride in California Adventure called Grizzly River Run that they used to allow guests to ride on a second time, but the last few times, and even before the COVID-19 virus closed Disneyland, they weren't allowing people to ride a second time anymore. I'm not sure if there were guest complaints or just other factors included in that decision. So if anybody knows about that answer, can you please post it in the comments down below of why now with Grizzly River Run, they don't allow people to stay on for a second run. Anyway, the other thing I will say is for restaurants, all of the restaurants are easily accessible. The only one I will say you have to be kind of careful about with wheelchairs and or power scooters is the Blue Bayou restaurant. It has a lot of room inside of it, but if you're not careful, you may knock into another table, knock down somebody's glass, or just bash into a wall, unfortunately. And there are a lot of staff and patrons inside there eating and patrons, having fun, and the wait staff handling the guests and their food and everything. But as long as you're careful, you should be fine. I think the hardest restaurant to navigate is for wheelchairs and everything is the Jolly Holiday Bakery and Cafe. It's because usually they've only been having people sit outside right now, unless things have changed. Or I can't remember if it's always just been solely outdoors, or there used to be indoor dining as well. I don't eat at that one quite as often because of the menus being shrunk down because of COVID-19. The menu hasn't been super good. So I usually go to the Blue Bayou. I go to the Carnation Cafe, the Coca-Cola Refreshment Corner. Sometimes I go to Goofy's Kitchen in the downtown Disney district, or for the first time yesterday, I tried this Napolini pizza establishment and had a salad had mozzarella cheese, olives, and cherry vinaigrette on it with a few tomatoes. It was a really good salad. And then I had a personal kids cheese pizza because I wasn't super hungry. So the slices were not overwhelming, but it was enough food to sustain me before I had my dinner. The other place I went to for dinner last night with my new friend Mary was Flo's V8 Cafe in Carsland in California Adventure. Flo's V8 Cafe is amazing. For those with sensory issues, including lighting, sound, and some other issues, it may be a little overwhelming with the music. Well, the music is oldies, of course. It's like a 50s diner. So that's not the problem. But the lighting might get to a few people. It flashes like blue, pink, green, and a few other colors along to the beat with the music. Seating wise, everything is easily accessible. The food was really good. The only thing last night that I had that I didn't particularly care for was, now I love pickles, don't get me wrong, but the pickle I had was very, very strong on the vinegar, and it kind of took away from the taste of the pickle, and it made it kind of overwhelming just a little. So if you're not a huge vinegar lover, I understand that, because I can take so much vinegar and then it's too much. But otherwise, I really did love the food. I know we have to get used to a new age where paper straws are coming back into different establishments and everything. But personally, I'm not a huge fan of the paper straws, because they do start, in my opinion, I don't know how many other people will say this, if it starts kind of getting too wet, it starts kind of disintegrating, and it can taste the change of your drink, I think. That's my opinion. But I know people are trying to save the environment and everything, but I don't know if certain things are ever going to solve that or not, because I am religious and I do believe in God and go to church and everything. So I think it's God's call, whatever happens to our world and the environment, versus if we could do something about it. We can probably help God fix some things, but ultimately He's in charge of what happens to the world and the planet. So, with all of that aside, once again, our special needs Disneyland meetup group will meet in front of Main Street USA, on the train station, on the bottom level, at 10 a.m., July 4th, 2022. We will be going on rides, having meals together, going shopping, talking and meeting each other, and even discussing our favorite characters, our likes and dislikes, and who knows what, we're all going to talk about. The other thing is, if you snag it before, I think, April, I will be staying at the Best Western Hotel across from Disneyland, on Harbor Boulevard. So if people would like to book a room and go with our group both days, that would be amazing. So anyway, I'm sorry you might hear scratching in the background. That's our dog Ellie. She can be a little bit noisy even when I'm on video. So unfortunately, sometimes I do get mad at her, but not a lot I can do when she's trying to get something. I don't know what she wants, but she can be a very strange dog. Anyway, this is all going to conclude this part of the live stream. So for now, Disneylanders with special needs, this is Ashley Jones signing off, and have a great day.